Dear Senor Lobo, it has come to your attention that someone punched 20 holes in the Icum Canal. Not only are there twice as many holes in the canal as originally believed, but it would appear that there is a major breakdown in communication and trust for this project. After a brief investigation, it turns out that the situation at hand is heavily underestimated with larger underlying forces at play. So what are the major problems with the Santa Valley Irrigation Project? The first issue is animosity between the Old Valley and the New Valley. There is a cultural difference between the two. The Old Valley is comprised of local farmers, whereas the New Valley is comprised of migrant workers. They are both competing for the same water supply and have conflicting needs. The next issue is animosity between the farmers and the government. The government believes that the farmers are lazy and incompetent, and the farmers don't trust the government to hold their promises. The farmers do not have any title to their land, and therefore cannot get loans from the banks. The farmers do not know how to properly use the water they have been given, and they use too many pesticides and fertilizers. Because they cannot get loans from the banks, they cannot afford to buy new technology to help them farm. After harvesting their crops, the farmers do not know how to best advertise their products, and their crop might be wasted. There are several areas where irrigation is incompleted and reduced to inconsistent creeks that were handmade out of the soil. Improper crop planting due to lack of knowledge. Some areas have not grown the recommended crops to fit the soil types. Because the New Valley uses too many fertilizers and pesticides, the Old Valley gets contaminated runoff water that is polluted and unusable. Failure to communicate with the stakeholders. The locals and farmers do not feel like they have been listened to when plans were made that affects their lives. What are the effects of some of these problems? The first is climate change that makes itself apparent in two distinct ways. The first is land degradation. Because of the New Valley runoff, there are salt deposits in the Old Valley that burns the plants and becomes hostile soil. The second is flooding in the New Valley, where plants become waterlogged. A second climate issue is the effect this destruction will have on the natural wildlife native to the land. When climates change drastically, animals and native plant species cannot survive and will perish. This can lead to a chain reaction of extinctions. Diseases is another effect of this irrigation issue. The waterlogged areas become fun places for children to play, but also promotes mosquito populations which can spread disease. Also, the children might get chilled from playing in the water and catch colds. There is a distrust between all parties linked to the Icum Canal. This has been amplified by lack of communication and assumptions made from the parties. If this continues, the project issues are doomed to repeat themselves. Waste in resources. The extension services and the project on the whole could wind up being a large waste of money and time if these issues are not confronted and resolved. So what can we do? First, I propose that we build a second irrigation system that leads to the Old Valley farmers. This eliminates power and competition between the two groups of farmers. Second, the farmers need to be educated on how to use their water and fertilizers properly so that they can get the right balance and do not degrade the land any further. The extension services can be used to help train the farmers on the new farming technologies. There should be an offer for marketing training to help the farmers advertise their crops. I believe that there should be a communication specialist who is hired whose job is to be a liaison between the farmers, extension services, and the government to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Records should be kept of water usage, crop selection, soil type, crop yield, and fertilizer use to make sure that the plants are getting their optimal growth. Remain open and honest and make an effort to listen to the people and their needs. This will help to build trust through which improvements can be made. Thank you for your time and listening to my report.